Hi everyone, hi Parkway Pediatric family. I'm Dr. Bethany Stafford and am very honored to be here with Dr. Sami Tamburro from the Engaged Psychological Services. As you guys know, we've been focusing a lot on mental health for Mental Health Awareness Month. And today we thought we would change things up just a little bit and talk a little bit about building resilience and practicing mindfulness and how to do that. As parents, we're all trying to kind of take the barometer of our kids' emotions all the time. It can be really hard to know what to do and how to prevent things and what we could be doing to help them deal with their feelings, no matter how big they are. So with that said, Sami, I was going to ask you kind of first just what is resilience? We hear a lot about that. What is it? How do we foster that in our kids?
Resilience is a really important thing that I think the pandemic kind of brought to light. Resilience is our ability to manage difficult situations. How do we kind of ride that wave of a situation and be able to cope through it and have confidence and make healthy choices and manage stress, essentially. The difficult thing, I wish it was like a vitamin we could just give our kids.
We could just prescribe it.
Exactly, a little extra vitamin D and we got it.
Vitamin R.
But being able to, resilience is really a muscle that unfortunately, if we don't utilize it, it doesn't grow.
Right.
And so what that really means for our kids is that unless they hit difficult times, and I think the pandemic really brought it to light because we couldn't protect our kids from what was happening in the pandemic. We couldn't stop that their, schools were closing down and, things were scary. Yeah. So they were forced to see it and manage it and how are we going to get through it. And it was difficult, but we saw that a lot of our kids could get through it.
Interesting.
So really the best thing that we can do for our kids is actually allow them to age appropriately manage difficult things. And I know
that's so hard as a parent. I mean, I feel like we spend half our time trying to make sure they're okay and get them through those little tough spots. How do you as a parent find that line of what's letting them struggle enough or what's letting them problem solve enough without it being too much or traumatic? How do you find that line?
I do think it's about it is about trial and error and allowing yourself to try as a parent and also trusting yourself to be able to kind of read and support your child if it did go too far or they're struggling, a little more than we would want them to. But so part of it is just being age appropriate and starting out really at young ages with that idea of helping them be able to be foster some independent decision making. Allow them in an age appropriate way to, put their clothes away the way they want to do it. So, but that they may not fold them the way we want to fold them, they may not put them yes, exactly.
Right.
But giving them some ways that they can make decisions. They may want to, run across some rocks, and we're like,
right,
they're gonna fall.
Because you're 10 steps down the road of
what's gonna happen.
The Band-Aids and the doctor's office.
Yes.
Which we are always open if you need us here.
So, and that piece of being able to really say, okay, I'm gonna let them have these smaller decisions and then help them kind of, okay, well, let's, instead of afterward, if something goes wrong and they run on those rocks and they fall and you do end up in your office, instead of shaming them and saying, see, you should never have done that.
Interesting, right.
Right?
So it's kind of the reaction, not only letting them try something, maybe fail, and then how do we react? How do we react when it happens?
How do we acknowledge, it's okay to make a mistake. You made a choice. It was an age-appropriate situation, hopefully, or you made a choice. It, maybe wasn't our best choice. How do we manage that? How do we make our way back from mistakes? Is making a mistake a terrible thing, and now I'm bad because I made a mistake?
Right.
Right? Because that's really what sets us up to not want to make our own choices, right? We find that those kids who really do struggle with resilience, they're afraid to make a choice because they might make the wrong one. And then what do I do?
Sure.
Right? And with resilience, we really want them to be able to know, okay, I want to set myself up for success. However, at the same time, if this does not go the way I want it to, I know I'll figure it out.
Right.
Right? Because I can manage hard things.
Right.
Right? Or I can gather my support system when I need to, or
Sure.
whatever that is. So starting out at those young ages to be able to, okay, I want you, like these are choices you're going to have to make, and if you pick the wrong thing, or if it doesn't go the way you want it to, all right, well, let's talk it through. Or you want help, let's help, instead of me making the decision for you, let me help you, let's brainstorm together.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And try to come, and instead of trying to lead them to the one you think is best,
Guilty.
Yeah.
I'm definitely hearing what you're saying and thinking about a lot of maybe my high achieving, anxious teens as well, where they're so afraid of failing or not doing things to their own, the level that they're hoping for. They want to achieve at a certain level, and that fear of failure kind of really sets them back. But having had experiences maybe where they did fail a little bit or it didn't turn out the way they wanted it to, and it being okay, and we got through that, and how that eventually can kind of scaffold and map to being able to better tolerate those gray, sticky moments later.
Right, because then when we've been able to work our way through that, we're able to see, okay, I've dealt with this before. I don't like it, but that feeling didn't last forever. Right. I was able to get to the other side of it. Things weren't terrible. I didn't fail at my class because I got that B.
Right.
Right? And so, that I might not feel good for a day or two, but I can bounce back. And that is really what resilience is not that we never hit a hard point, that we never hit a hurdle. It's, can we make our way through it?
Sure.
And our own trust in ourselves that we can make our way through it, right? And we might have trust in our kids that they can do it, or right, sometimes as a parent we may not.
Right.
But the best thing we can do is say, I trust you,
Trust you
you've
to
got
make those
it.
decisions.
And if something is hard, I'm here. So that next, the first thing I think is fostering some independent decision making and allowing that to grow as they get older. And I think as a parent, that allows us to start trusting their decision making, because that does become really important when our kids are teens.
Yeah.
And especially when they go off to college.
Absolutely. And they have all that independence, and you just have to trust that they're going to make the right choice.
Yeah.
And I think the other things I'm really hearing from you is when they make the wrong choice, finding a way to talk it through without shame.
Right.
And help letting them know you're there to catch them.
Yes.
You'll be here for them if we make a mistake. It doesn't always have to look perfect to receive affection or approval, and just how that can build their confidence.
Absolutely. And being able to, so as we do that and we allow them to stumble and fall and hit the hard times, helping them to build coping skills and, build a general sense of self-awareness.
Yeah.
That understanding of what do they like and what are their emotions, helping them label their emotions and validate them, even though we might think, oh, well, you don't really need to be upset about, that thing. Oh, it's not a big thing. Don't worry about it. In truth, that doesn't validate their experience.
Right.
And that idea,
hearing someone and I think letting someone know that, hey, I hear you and I believe you that you're going through that.
Yeah.
Even if it feels small or trivial, or we have 10 million things and the bus is leaving in 5 minutes.
Yes. Or just when our kids are hurting, oh my gosh, it hurts. As a parent, it hurts so much to watch them sit in that place. And so I think it's also so easy to want to grab them off of their bench and say, you don't have to be on the sad bench. Come over. Look at all the happy things. Look how good your life is. Right. Come over to the happy bench with me. And while that, it makes sense why as a parent we'd want to be like, but look, you have so many other good things. We also need them to know that they can sit on that sad bench and really just be okay in that feeling, and that we can sit with them in that feeling and be able to say, okay, when you're ready to come off this bench, I'm ready to come off with you.
We don't have to fix it.
Right.
You mentioned coping skills, and I guess that kind of bleeds into a little bit of the mindfulness and how do we practice that. Could you take us through a couple examples or things that you see that can help kids kind of in the moment with some coping skills and mindfulness?
One of the easiest things to do is basically what we call grounding, a grounding exercise, which is really just to bring us back to the present. And because our anxiety lives in the future and the past, and that's the anxiety we can't do anything about. The only anxiety we can manage is in the present.
See me just take a deep breath.
And being able to say, okay, so what grounds us? Our senses.
Yes.
Because we have to be present to know what our senses are pulling in. And so for an adult, we might say, what do you hear? What do you see, smell, taste, touch, right? For a kid, I normally just use one thing. And a lot of times an easy one, even for a really young child, is to pick a color, right? Pick the color blue. Tell me everything you see around you that's blue. And try to get them to describe it. Put a little bit more effort into it, you know?
Yeah.
And it really works to bring us to the present, which just helps to kind of slow down our thoughts and our feelings. It doesn't make the feeling go away.
Right.
But it allows us to get to a place that maybe is less impulsive. It calms our feelings down a little bit to regulate, and then be able to say, okay, now what choices do we want to make? Now, then we can maybe do some coping skills, and then we can maybe color or take a walk or something like that that is going to help a little bit more long term.
Yeah.
Or even just talk about a situation.
Right.
Sometimes we have to kind of bring down those emotions before we can ask our kids to like explain what happened.
Sure, right.
And I think the best thing is to do it with them.
Yeah.
And because it helps us, number one.
I know.
But it also then makes it easier for them to do it if we're right there with them. So that's one that I think is you can do it in the car, like, you know, what do I see? Show me describe the trees, or describe.
It's good for so many ages too, where you can kind of keep it very simple for the younger kids, but for the older kids, you can kind of go to all senses.
Yes.
And something you can do, no one knows you're doing it, but you can be doing it on those moments when you're kind of ratcheting up your levels.
And it's one we can do that nobody has to know we're doing.
Right.
If we do it for ourselves, if we teach our kids to do it, then they're at high school and now they're walking through the halls. It's definitely something we use with a lot of our young adults. Like, you're at college, okay, so from your dorm room to your class, you know, what do you see? What's different? You know, really start to describe those things. What do you smell? What's the weather like? You know, being able to help give them some calming as they're making their way to a class that maybe is really anxiety provoking for them.
For sure. Another one I was reading, Engage Psychological Services has a ton of really great resources, just to let you guys know.
We have some of it on our Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram for sure.
Yeah.
There was one that was kind of close your eyes and trace a box. I was doing that the other day. I was like, oh, this does kind of work. It's very soothing.
Yes.
So you got me through a hard time.
Good.
Thank you guys.
Glad we could help.
And then I'm thinking also just, I know social media being the topic, we would need like 10 videos to cover, but is there a role having obviously less social media for sure, but just more interactions with people, kind of people person-to-person interactions, or is there a way to kind of approach that when we're thinking about mindfulness, resilience in social media, and balancing those things out.
Yes, limiting, and my kids
It's hard.
don't love to
Please.
hear this
We
either.
all have kids, so I know the realities.
But the truth is that now more and more research is coming out about how negative social media really is for all of us to be watching, that it really, instead of we do that doom scrolling, right? And it's such an easy go-to when we're not in a good place, or we're wanting to avoid, or we're wanting to numb out, and that actually it doesn't help us. When we stop, we actually feel worse than when we started.
Right.
So then it makes us want to go kind of back
and
to that, right?
Back to step one.
And so really being able to have some type of time limits around it.
Sure.
So for a lot of us, I know my kids are older. I didn't even know what I was really giving them when I gave them the phone. And so trying to pull that back now is its
really
own
hard.
beast. But really being able to think about, okay, so maybe it's about you put on a timer when you want to scroll. And so you don't get lost in it. You put on a timer for 15 minutes.
Right.
And then you allow yourself to go for that long. And then at 15 minutes, if you're still not feeling well, being able to try something else, try a different coping skill.
Sure.
Rather than spend 2 hours doing that and then feel kind of lost that you're still in that same space.
Yeah. I think just always reminding my kids, or even myself, like, people are posting their highlights. This is their best moments. So when I'm scrolling, like, oh, these people are on these vacations and it's so fun, and look all that beautiful meals that people have prepared for their children. These are their good moments.
Yes.
And just like me, they're probably not posting the microwave dinner or chicken nuggets that my kids maybe got last night.
Hey, that's a good dinner.
Well, okay.
Dino nuggets?
Dino nuggies happens on a schedule at my home.
As they should.
Happens. It's okay.
But that is the case, I think, with a lot of our teens that we talk to, right? Being able to look at, a lot of times, the people who are posting, really, they don't feel that great about themselves. And their posts are really to try to gain that acceptance and stuff like that. Where I think from that teenage point of view, it looks like, oh, look, this is a person who feels so good about themselves, right? And I think the truth is, if we really were to be honest, if we feel good about ourselves, we probably don't even need to post, right? Because we feel good. It doesn't matter what anybody else says about it.
You're just in your own space.
Yeah.
And it doesn't...
I mean, it's a benefit, great. Like, for me, I think about it as like it's icing on the cake.
Sure.
But the cake, I talk a lot about how our self-esteem really is like a cake. Like the good stuff, like, is all there, and you were born with it, and so many wonderful qualities and all of that. And then the icing are all the things that people can see.
Right.
And some days we have more icing, and sometimes we have less. But no matter what, that doesn't change that the cake is good. Right?
That's a great way to think about it. Yeah.
So being able to, coping skills, I think, is the next piece in resilience. And I think it pushes us as parents to really help show our kids, what are we doing for?
Yes.
And that's hard as a parent.
It's hard as a parent. And I think so many times I'm kind of coming to all these realizations in real time too. I think parenting teaches you a lot about yourself, and teaches you a lot about your mental health and your anxieties, or maybe down moods and things like that, and making sure you're in a good space, and how you're kind of dealing with your stuff helps you deal with others better. So mindfulness, not just for the kiddies, but for the moms and dads and the grown-ups too.
And it's good to show our kids that we do it too, that we need it.
And fail to. I imagine, I've learned through parenting imperfectly that the value of owning it.
Yes. Hey,
I didn't handle that well. I need to talk to you because I didn't handle that well. I wish I had done this. I want to work on that. Right. It wasn't my best move. I'm sorry.
And that's that piece that we want to teach our kids, that they can do that too. They don't have to be perfect in that piece. And that's that part of really building self-awareness is that growth mindset, which I think for a while they were talking a lot about in elementary school. I'm not sure that they are as much anymore, but the growth mindset is really about being able to say, it allows our kids to try new things, even if they don't exactly know how well they're going to do on it, because it's that power of yet. I may not know it now, but if I keep trying and I keep working on it, I might. So I don't know this yet.
So hopeful.
Yes, it allows us to believe, oh, I can. If I don't know this, I don't understand this, right? It's like, okay, or I'm not good at this.
Right.
Right? Okay, I'm not good at it yet.
Right.
Just that word, adding that word to the end of the sentence does change it, right? And so I think helping our kids and helping us as parents, right? Like, it's so easy to get down on ourselves, but really being able to just say, okay, like, it's exhausting, but
that means you're doing it right.
Yeah, we're working on it.
Yeah.
And being able to sit in that place of like, okay, it's good enough.
Right.
It's a work in progress.
It's a work in progress. None of us are perfect.
No.
We're all figuring it out. But such helpful messages for everyone to think about how do we build resilience, not just in ourselves, but in our kids, and letting them have moments where they're trying things new and letting them make decisions we wouldn't make, and not shaming them when they do something the way we wouldn't do it, and kind of being that safety net to help them through it. And hopefully they build, a repertoire of, I didn't do it right that time, but next time I didn't do it right yet.
Yeah, exactly.
But next time I'm gonna get them. So important. And then just kind of when we're having those moments of just intense feelings and emotions, whether you're 2 or 47, we'll edit that, right? We'll edit that part. But having those moments where you use your coping skills, or you find your senses, or you take a deep breath, or you have a moment. Such good messages. Thank you so much, Sami.
Thank you for having
are
me.
A gold mine. Engaged Psychological Services. They're fabulous. Definitely one of our favorites. Great therapists and counselors and groups. They do a lot of really good work there.
Yes, we have an adult mindfulness group coming up soon too, even.
Do you?
Yes.
Are you accepting clients? This has been super helpful. Please check out our YouTube channel at Parkway Pediatrics. Please refer to this as often as you need to. And we're here if you need us. So thanks for taking a listen.